Hello once again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get into this week's episode, of course, a thanks to those who help us bring the show to you for free on whichever podcasting platform you choose to listen. Thanks to our friends at Smokin' Jay's Barbecue. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter at Smokin', no G, _JAYS BBQ. And a little news on Smokin' Jay's Barbecue. They are essentially ready to rock as of October 23rd. So,
They had a cold open.
They had a cold open. Yep. And they will be officially open and on Grubhub starting October 23rd. That is from the man Brock himself there at Smokin' Jay's.
I got a little breaking news on Smokin' Jay's. I was so hungry at Ohio, I had to break down and have some of their food. It's a little exotic for my taste, so I just went with the mac and cheese. That was the only option that could fit my picky needs, and it was pretty good. It wasn't shaped like a cartoon character like I usually like my mac and cheese, but you know,
they didn't have like a pulled chicken or something that you didn't have to put sauce on.
I wouldn't have touched that. I don't trust it. I always when I see things like that, I always assume there's some sort of sauce on it.
Okay, that's fair.
Thanks to what other sponsors we have? I don't know. Hey, thanks to Smart Mark Video and IWTV. The merger between the two, it's never been easier to watch AIW. You can purchase DVDs or MP4s through smartmarkvideo.com. Every single thing that is in the AIW archive that's been recorded is available at smartmarkvideo.com for purchase. Or if
I'm still daring somebody, to buy the entire
box set,
the entire set for Christmas this year, or Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate.
Festivus.
Somebody deserves that box set.
Yeah, somebody's got to be worthy of it in life. And, IWTV, go to independentwrestling.tv. Use the code ABSOLUTE so they know that we sent you there, and you can stream not only AIW, but so many other independent wrestling promotions as well. And there are countless hours of pro wrestling to watch there, as well as some other fun shows on it. And, with that, we kind of roll into this week's episode. As always, AIW owner John Thorne is here. On this week's episode, we're joined by the Bone Collector, Dominic Garrini. And my name is Steve Guy, your moderator of sorts. And, before we fully kick things off, it's time for the shout-out segment, guys.
Shouting out.
Shouting them out. First of all, big shout-out to the whole Toyhio crew. I know we'll get into it, but always, just got to give the shout-out to an awesome event there. Shout-out to Danhausen. Made some bank this weekend, from what I understand.
Richhausen. Oh, yeah, you weren't there. I saw it live and in person, pal.
Yeah? You saw the Scrooge McDuck sacks of money that he had?
I took a video of the line and I put it on the AIW Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it didn't, there were so many people, in that area, my cell phone was not uploading. Mm-hmm. So it didn't upload until well after the fact that the line was over. But, man, did he have a gigantic line. It wraps. They had traffic cones.
Wow.
To to section off where people were in line for Danhausen. It was pretty impressive, I must say. But shout out to Rick. He runs Toyhio. He's been hooking us up. A mutual kind of beneficial relationship developed out of tragedy when Tom Troll passed away. Rick and I started talking because Tom Troll was the co-founder of Toyhio, and Rick wanted to figure out a way to involve more wrestling aspects of things into the future shows as he was going to continue on. And, it's kind of like a similar situation where, after Biggins passed away, I was kind of, figuring out a way to continue on AIW and his legacy. And Rick is doing the same with Tom Troll and Toyhio. So, I've been kind of helping coordinate certain things and, putting him in contact with people. Things Things are going pretty well at Toy Hio. I'm happy to see the show continue to be a success and grow. And, the little bit of, the wrestling attractions seem to really be helping put Toy Hio more on the map than it already was. And I will say I have to find the exact information here because it's pretty crazy what they have coming up in just a few weeks. If I was obviously unprepared, but here we go. So on Friday, November 5th at Time Capsule Toys, which is Rick's shop, who, that is like pretty much the shop that puts on Toy Hio. Friday, November 5th at Time Capsule Toys, Mick Foley will be appearing at their store.
Wow.
Located at 52 West Liberty Street in Girard, Ohio. He'll be appearing Friday, November 5th from 6 to 9 p.m.
That's a big deal right there.
Which, like, crazy story, he told me that Mick Foley just called the shop and said he looked at his caller ID and it said Mick Foley is calling, and he was like, "Oh, that's weird. This guy has the same name as Mick Foley." And he was talking to him, and it was really Mick Foley. And he said, "Hey, I'm looking for a place to do a meet and greet in between, my comedy gigs, in between Pittsburgh and Indiana."
Yeah.
So I don't know how he found Time Capsule Toys, but shout out to Mick Foley, who you will be opening for here coming up here in a few weeks as well.
I will. That's
good. That's called a good transition there,
that's
Steve.
November 7th at Hilarities, Pickwick and Frolic in downtown Cleveland. Got to work with Mick previously a couple of years ago. I get to do it again. Looking forward to that. So grab your tickets there. And speaking of wrestlers in comedy, shout out to my guy, Nick Nemeth, a.k.a. Dolph Ziggler, headlining the Cleveland Comedy Festival at the Odeon. So all you wrestling fans who love watching AIW at the Odeon and are always there asking me, when am I doing comedy and all sorts of things about comedy, November 10th to the 13th. At the Odeon, we're running the Cleveland Comedy Festival, and there's actually a smaller secondary room that the guys at the Odeon are going to start running, and will be the first thing really that happens in that space. So we'll have shows on the big stage, and they'll also have shows every day during that time frame on a smaller stage as well, so there'll be plenty to see. But all the tickets are on sale if you go to clevelandcomedyfestival.com, including November 13th.
Is there a meet and greet?
Ziggler. There will be a meet and greet. It is a $40 meet and greet day of the show. You pay there. And then if you don't want to participate in the meet and greet, we're going to have it set up so that you can still... He's going to have all sorts of specialized merchandise available, and you'll be able to still get some of that merch if your thought is you'd rather spend the money. Or
what's the info on the Mick show? I don't have any of that. I talked to Mick. He was supposed to send me some stuff, and he never did. I just know it's November 7th.
It's November 7th at Hilarities. If you go to hilarities.com, you could get the tickets there. I want to say it's a 7 p.m. showtime. I can look that up real quick. But
yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, I mean, we got a couple weeks, right?
We got a couple weeks, yeah. Shout out to our guy Lee Moriarty, who finally got that Lee Moriarty is All Elite graphic. That's
big time when it happens.
Yeah, that's a big deal. So
it's kind of breaking news though on that Odeon thing, because they've been talking to me about that for a while. About they were going to expand pretty much for everyone that attends at the Odeon. Where the merchandise is typically against that back wall. There is a garage door right there, and there's an additional space located beyond that garage door that they've been working on to open as, like a smaller show space. They were talking about doing comedy, maybe some smaller music stuff in there as well, DJ stuff. And it has been presented, no official details about making it an after-party location so everything stays under one roof. But that is to be determined.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, the work is underway right now in that space. I've been in there to see what's going on, and there's carpeting torn up, and there'd be some paint and stuff getting done. Pretty pretty cool. They're going to do some really cool things in there. There will be a Mick Foley meet and greet as well, it looks like. But I don't see the exact price on what his meet and greet is going to be. But yeah, so that'll be really exciting there at the Odeon. What do you say? Shout out to former absolute champion PB Smooth, celebrated a birthday recently. So we'll give him that shout out there. And a big shout out coming here right now to Patty Wilson, our very own Patty. I don't know if you guys knew this, but recently Patty Wilson inducted to the Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame.
Whoa, big time.
That's a big deal.
Congrats, Patty.
Yeah. So
does everyone know who Patty is? Did we say
Patty,
who Patty
Patty
is?
For those who don't know, if you listen to the show all the time, you should know. But Patty is the mother of Chandler Biggins, and she's there at every single show, along with Jeremy, making sure that everybody is taken care of. Guys get hurt or injured, bloodied, whatever the case may be, they are right there to look out for all of us. And so her, as a director of emergency services, her job, she's Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame. It's pretty cool. Jeremy sent me that information. I was like, man, that's awesome.
I saw Jeremy. Shout out to Jeremy. I saw him at Toy Hio on Saturday. He was bopping around in there. Came to meet Jazz. Jazz was also in the house at Toy Hio.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
For a few hours.
Dom Greeny, you got any shout-outs? You get to hang out on the shout-out segment.
Shout out to the two sets of AIW fans that recognized me at the Hartville Flea Market sports card show that I set up out on Saturday. They were very kind, and they had great things to say about AIW, including the Want for More Akron shows. So they are very excited at that possibility.
It's funny because there was an AIW fan at Toy Hio, and he was asking, am I rolling solo today? And I said, yeah, Dom is doing another thing. He's like, oh yeah, I saw him in the Hartville Flea Market a couple weeks ago. So you're heavily recognized out there, moving your sports cards on Saturday afternoons.
Yeah, it's been my side hustle since the wrestling stuff with my injury. It's kept my time really consumed and lets me travel, which I love to do. So it's cool.
Dom Greeny has informed me that the sports cards are hot right now.
They are.
That was a conversation we had before the Akron show. You and old Ronald Two Legs talking about that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I found that I'm going to put up for sale in the Discord? I found the John Thorne first grade soccer sports card.
Oh.
I'm going to put that up. I'm going to put that up for sale in the Discord one of these days. That's going to be a hot item. That is the official John Thorne rookie card.
Wow.
Gotta get that graded.
Yeah, send it out. Check those margins. It's got to be a PSA at least 8. I took it right from my grandma's house the other day. I said I'm going to sell this.
What if she's going to end up looking for that, wondering where her John Thorne rookie card is? And
she
it's
has
her
no idea.
prized possession, dude.
No.
It was like in a box we were going through.
But whoever buys that card might end up on some sort of government registry list.
Oh man.
Hey, it's probably a 101.
It's got to be.
Any shout outs from you, John Thorne?
Oh man. Let me see here. Shout outs?
Yeah.
I'll do shout out to Universal Halloween Horror Nights. Had a good time down there.
Oh, there you go.
Shouting out an event rather than a person. That was a lot of fun. Lots of people wanted to talk about that at Toy Hio and various other places since I returned. And just shout out to everybody that was at Toy Hio, honestly. I mean, I got to talk to a ton of people for extended amounts of time. Shout out to Dustin Alberti for being the official driver of Danhausen on Saturday. He had a bunch of, he had a show Friday, so he had to travel into Cleveland and needed a ride. And Dustin took care of him on Saturday, got him to Toy Hio on time. And yeah, that's and Dustin also, came out and helped run the table a little bit for me, and one not really a shout out, but an announcement that this Saturday AIW will be at the Great Lakes Geek Fest selling merchandise, and we are going to try for only the second time ever an official AIW convention panel, which happened at Cinema Wasteland a couple of years ago, which was really just drinking and watching AIW stuff.
And the Duke getting appliance deliveries.
Dominic and I will be, at the very least, heading up a panel to talk independent wrestling, AIW specifically, the wrestling school, and we really have no idea what we're going to do. We're just going to wing it. Probably free form, come on out, Q&A, whatever. It's only $5. This Saturday, our panel, I believe, is at 1 p.m.
Yes. I talked with Melanie today from the Great Lakes Geek Fest, so come on out. Is that the same people that did the show in Jefferson?
It's the same group that put on Great Lakes WrestleFest. This is their bread and butter event, the Great Lakes Geek Fest. And they want to continue on their relationship with AIW. They want to make an AIW event in Ashtabula a yearly thing, it sounds like. So they want us to come out and be a part of their big usual large event, their bread and butter event, and continue to kind of grow that relationship this weekend. So no actual wrestling, but we are going to, myself will be there, Dominic will be there, some of the other AIW talents will be there selling merchandise on Saturday, and we're going to do the panel, and it should be a good time.
There you go. Since we are on a podcast, I'm going to give a final shout out here. Shout out to the Broski, to Matt Cardona, for just continuously talking about AIW on their podcast. That's, that really helps us tremendously. Of course, it gains more attention, eyes and ears to us. So that's a pretty cool thing. And, we appreciate that. So shout out to the Broski there.
It's funny. I just looked at my phone and he just texted me.
Oh, really?
That's so weird.
Well, there you go. With that, we roll over, and we reached out to our Discord folks. If you want to be a part of the AIW Discord, all sorts of different chatter going on there constantly. The only way to get into the room is to sign up for the AIW Patreon. So patreon.com/AI Wrestling. Go there, sign up, get in the Discord, had fun with it. But we did ask them for some questions there. And that's probably largely what we're going to probably talk about today, I would imagine, is we're still over a month out from AIW's Hell on Earth, happening at Force Sports in East Lake on Black Friday. And we are looking forward to that. Psycho Clown making his debut. People pumped about the Psycho Clown, man.
I will say, I said it, we took last week off, but I said it 2 weeks ago. Tickets are selling at a very rapid rate for this show. So it's not going to be like Akron. We're doing 3 rows and everything else is standing room. So, I know some people buy GA and they try to, sneak into a seat or anything like that. This place has no additional seating. So we are renting 3 rows of chairs, and whatever happens as far as standing room. And there are a lot of tickets sold already in the general admission tier. We have about, I think, 20 seats left in the second and the third row. Some fans have been hitting me up like, "Hey, how come front row isn't for sale?" They didn't realize that it had already sold out.
There you go. Well, the other... go ahead, Dom.
And if you remember, guys, if you have a group of people you want to sit with, work together and buy the tickets together under one name, as the assigned seating is going to continue.
Yep. Perfect mention there, Dom. And aside from Psycho Clown, we also announced PCO making his AIW return on Black Friday. And I know the shout-out segment's over, but shout-out to the doctor, Britt Baker, DMD. John Thorne, you asked who should face PCO. And she said...
Yeah, she said it should be Kaplan or she's blocking the account. So I'll take that under consideration, Doc. Hopefully she takes my catchphrase under consideration for the AEW show that was announced today in Duluth, Georgia. I said she should say, "I'll fix your tooth" in Duluth. I don't know if she's going to go with that, though. I think that's a good T-shirt.
Yeah, that's great.
Those will sell in Duluth, baby.
Hey, listen, A-Rose, as we talk about the Discord, my man A-Rose there in the Discord, really excited about Nick Nemeth coming to Cleveland, but I know that there is a pay-per-view that same night, so I don't want to hear it if you don't show to this comedy show, A-Rose. Just throwing it out there right now. You can watch a pay-per-view later, dude. They do replays. It's all right.
I will say, though, that I know this kind of goes against your event, but it is interesting to see fans treating wrestling like it is can't miss again. You know what I mean? Like, I found that very, very interesting, especially now that, we're not out of the pandemic, but we are kind of in the point of, no turning back of the pandemic, I feel. So, it's one thing to treat, for example, I've told Dom, and Dom thinks this is hilarious. I would just buy random UFC pay-per-views all throughout COVID because I had nothing to do. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't fucking know what was what, but it was live, and it was just something to do on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Now that we're kind of on the other side of that and people are back to, getting back out into the world and doing things, it is interesting to see, like, people that are like, I'd love to do that, but AEW has a pay-per-view that day. When is the last time that you think wrestling fans acted like that? Like, maybe for WrestleMania, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know. I found it interesting. I think, my opinion, I think the Nick Nemeth comedy show will do just fine, but in this market. But I just found it interesting that, we sent it out from the AIW accounts, and, a lot of people are like, man, that's the same day. It's full gear.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. We've got, and here's the thing. You're going to want to kind of jump on tickets for that, too, because most people realize that the Nemeth boys are from Cleveland, Ohio, and having done shows with them in the past, a lot of friends and family come out, especially at the show at the Improv a few years ago. It was packed. I would say half the crowd was there because they were WWE fans. They wanted to see him do comedy, and half of that crowd, like 150, 200 people, were people that they grew up with and knew throughout life, or their friends, their parents' friends, their family. So if you're just a fan, don't sleep on getting those tickets. I'll say that. But let's roll into some of these questions here. An interesting one, actually, from our very own Tom.
Oh, hold on. Before that, hold on.
Uh-huh.
Dominic Garrini, you got something happening this week?
I do. I'm gonna
give what's his name some free Pludsky on my airtime.
Eric from Time Bomb.
Yeah, that's his name. He was almost booked to the Gathering with Juggalos as a Bigfoot.
Dude, he wanted to do the Gathering so badly when I told him about it. But yeah, so Thursday, I believe it'll be 9 p.m. this time. But Time Bomb is going to be presenting Violence is Forever. It's going to be me versus Minoru Suzuki. As of right now,
who'd he ever beat?
I think he beat Ken Shamrock, at least in Pancrase, so that's cool. But it's going to be my only match for the foreseeable future, as kind of like it was one of those can't miss opportunities.
Do you want to now? Let's go. Do you want to get into what's been going on? Because it's been very vague. Yeah, I don't know how much you want to reveal.
We've danced around it.
I'm okay with that. So I've just had some issues with back and neck stuff. It's led to some neurological testing. I'm still waiting on some results for that stuff. So like I said, it's going to be more of like specialist visits and things, but essentially one of the big things is it's just been really hard to get in and seeing a neurologist and a specialist for everything. So everything's on a delay, and hopefully here soon I'll have some answers onto what I can and can't do.
There you go.
Yeah, and that's listen. We don't want to prematurely speculate or say what they think it could be or couldn't be, because there's a lot of different results that are outstanding, and that is why you've stepped away from active competition. I know it's been a pretty difficult time for you.
I don't know. Tell that laptop that Dom wasn't being an active competitor.
I was thinking about that today as I was getting ready to do this, and I was like, man, my old laptop sucked. So I was happy I didn't break this one out of the anger of the Alexander music not playing.
I mean, what, obviously, I talked privately when things started to happen. And, you finally were seeking that, appointment and, looking into it. And, I know what the initial, speculation was. What has that been like for you to deal with? Let's go back to that, to that time, not right now.
No, yeah, it's been difficult because, one of the things is that, like, I'm a tough guy, so, like, the idea is gut through everything. But there was a point at which I think you and I had talked where I was like, something's wrong here, and I need to get it looked at. And I've never been a big doctor guy my whole life. And one of the things that this has done is, honestly, this is a true story. I've wrestled the first 4 years of my career without health insurance. I do not recommend that.
You and probably everybody.
Yeah, so if that's one thing I can tell everybody is go and get health insurance if you're an independent wrestler. It's very easy to apply on the marketplace. Chances are your job doesn't provide it for you, and you don't make enough money to where you're not going to get some sort of subsidiary discount. Because I've had to have like 3 MRIs throughout this whole process, which without insurance, those things are like $4,000. They're like $4,000. So. But back to the point at hand. Yeah, I mean, it was hard because not only is it like something's wrong with my body, it's then, well, I have all these bookings coming up, and I've got a lot of steam right now. Like, coming off of the 2 AIW return shows where I had the matches with Lee and Eddie, I was probably at like my peak in ring that I've been for like the last 5 years.
And we can pull the curtain back a little bit. You found this stuff out like the day before you're supposed to do the Eric Taylor match, which leads me to, on a whim, book a Tom Lawler a $1,000 plus flight on 6 hours notice.
Yeah. So I did the initial MRI. We were getting the results back where they were like, hey, you probably shouldn't do anything. Like the morning of, I think, that show. So it was big. And it was awesome that you were so willing to, bring Tom in for that moment to kind of save the match, because you were, concerned about my health. And you also know that, like, I'm the kind of person that needs saved from myself. But you could definitely tell, like, even that night, I was off a little bit, because even Swoggle came up to me that night. And obviously that's the night that Swoggle kind of had his injury stuff too. And he came up to me and said, everything's wrong with you tonight. He goes, you look like you're worried, you're nervous. And I remember that because I've never wrestled like that, so that's why it was partly so important to get all the testing done and get results from doctors and figure everything out. And,
pull back the curtain a little more, going into that, coming out of how the Go for Broke match went with Eric Taylor, you were really ready to have like a star-making performance for Eric Taylor that night. And, that also was additional disappointment, I felt like.
Yeah, to me, if I can help any of these kids from the school out to get them to that next level, like, I arguably think that Josh and me from Slumber Party Massacre raised Josh Bishop's profile to a point where you could do a lot more with him. And I see a lot of, like, talent in, like, an Eric Taylor to do that. We had the 20-minute draw, no fans, and I had a lot of people tell me how great the match was. So our thought process was, let's go into a match where we're going to tease going to another 20-minute draw and really make Eric, and the disappointment of not being able to give that to him stunk really a lot, because obviously we go to the tag match, it's a little bit of a different kind of scenario, so it's not as much, but I'm happy that we were able to at least circle back, get Eric that big match against Filthy Tom. And I think that, like, he's one of those guys that's ready to break out. When Mikey comes back from his injury, he's going to be ready to break out. So, like, that whole class of kids is doing really well right now.
I'll tell you what, Mikey Montgomery needs to fucking come back, because I'm sick of him showing up dressed like it's fucking 6th grade picture day.
Wait a minute.
Justin Summers loves the 6th grade picture. Mikey says he thinks it's the greatest.
But here's
thing
the thing: what do you want? Do you want Snuggie Mikey, or do you want Picture Day Mikey?
I want wrestler Mikey.
You know what I mean?
I don't want any of the other fucking bullshit that comes along with Mikey Montgomery.
In terms of how he's,
because it's a fucking ton of bullshit.
In terms of how he's dressed, like, at least he's presenting himself much better than showing up in.
He looks like he's got to go to court, Steve.
Maybe he does.
That I would believe.
Hey, I should say I didn't give him the shout out, but I hung out with Eric Taylor on Sunday, watching some Browns.
Oh.
Eric Taylor having shots of 2% milk at the bar, man.
But one of the other things, Thorne, too, I think within this whole process is it's hard for me to adjust. It was hard for me at first, at least, to adjust, because, like, really my doctors didn't clear me to do much of anything at first. Like, I couldn't lift, I couldn't do jiu-jitsu, so a lot of it was like I'd try to get out of the house on Mondays and Wednesdays to just go watch jiu-jitsu practice and be around people. But then, like, the weekends, like, I'm not traveling. I'm not with all these my wrestling friends, and I would say a solid 90% of, like, the friends I have anymore are from wrestling. So, like, that sucked. And there was a lot of things.
That's why I preach the pie chart, brother.
Well, and Dom, what's it? You know, people are going to kind of wonder, but the mental side of things, the emotional side of things, because you're one of the head trainers at the head trainer at the AIW Academy, and you're there. You were still training people, but unable to, partake in it. And I imagine at this time, thoughts are going through your head like, man, is this it? You don't know if you're going to be able to wrestle ever again, and it's like it's too young. You're too young for that to have been the case, but now you still have to continue showing these folks what to do.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that John, when initial diagnosis came down, he was really good at, like, calming me down and said, like, even if for whatever reason, you can't wrestle anymore, there's a place for you as a teacher at the school. There's a place for you to help produce shows, all that stuff. So John did a really good job with that. And when it comes to that, like, it's not fair to those kids for me to shut down and not be a good teacher anymore, because there's a chance I might not be able to wrestle, because I have enough mental capacity within the wrestling game to help them out, and to still, foster those kids and help them out. And, throughout all of this, one of the bigger things for sure was, like, getting a chance to, like, see members only kind of mature and kind of finally get them debuted, because they've had a very long process, 2+ year process in terms of, like, getting debuted. So, like, I was able to spend a lot of time really kind of, like, honing in on those two and, like, being like, okay, this is what we need to get, we can get you ready, and things like that.
It's been an interesting evolution of Dom the producer. As time has gone on, you have certainly relaxed a bit more.
That big chair isn't so sought after now, is it?
No, but I'm more relaxed on shows that we don't film, like shows that aren't live. I'm sorry, shows that aren't live.
Live is a whole different level of stress.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the mics with Jerry, and then, like, I got the second gear crew going, 10, 15 minutes over. So I'm losing
overtime crew.
That. The don't hit time crew. That's my nickname for them. And then it's just got so many variables. Whereas, like, Akron, it's like, whatever, let's go. The only like stressful parts in Akron are when they're brawling in the crowd, because the hard thing about this is, and I tell everybody this is gonna brawl before every show, usually the cameras are hard lined in, like Gary or whoever's on that floor cam is hard lined in, so brawling in the crowd is very bad for, like, video, because they can't see what it is. Like, for an example, Thunder Rosa gave Jocelyn a snap suplex on the floor, and it was not caught on the video at all. And like that's a terrible bump to have to take for like maybe the 30 people around in that general vicinity to see. Well, I realized heard a big thud, you know.
Yeah.
So like that's the other thing, but producing's been a whole different animal, and it's been like really cool. I got a chance to do some production for one of the MLW shows while I was hurt, and like that was completely interesting to like produce promos and see that, and then take some of like the lessons I learned from that back to the school to help like some of the kids with promos and stuff. Really like the Batista bullet point thing is like a really good thing for indie promos, because I know I've heard Thorne say it before, but like 3/4 of the Twitter promos or 3/4 of the promos you see from indie wrestlers now are just what we call Twitter promos, where it's like you could say everything in a tweet that you say in this promo. There's no actual investment into what it is. It's like, I'm gonna fight Johnny Brown Saturday night at
that
the
was
Cleveland
like
Armory.
That was like a big breakthrough I had at Wrestle Rager when PME was talking to me about why their stuff isn't clicking, you know, when they put it out. And I said, well, you know, all of your promos are tweets, you know, everything in the majority of independent wrestling promos are just things that could be a tweet, when you could be making a promo about anything and making your own story up and, you know, like giving a little bit more meat on the bone for whatever the upcoming booking is. But, yeah, that's a whole other discussion. But producer Dom, it's a tough job. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's tough, and you know, I've learned unless somebody's not coming, I feel like I don't get as stressed out as you. You and Pedro get way more stressed out than me. I don't know if I'm just desensitized to it at this point.
You're Tony, and I'm Sil. You know.
I don't know if I'm you know, I've just dealt with it so often, but it's usually like a minor freak out, I think, and then it's like, okay, we have to move on to the next thing, and we have to keep the train rolling, you know. But live shows are a whole other ball of wax, you know. Like Akron was kind of such a, you know, just relief for so many reasons. It wasn't live. The crowd was gigantic, you know. Less to worry about than, you know, when we're, you know, trying to hit times and all that other stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So Dom, I gotta ask though, are you nervous
For this week.
to return to action? You're not, you know, you're not just getting in there with a student. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
You are the student.
you know, there's no training wheels here.
Definitely a little nervous. Like
It's like you're definitely like running before you walking. You know what I mean?
I am, but it's once again, it was like a once in a lifetime opportunity. There definitely was, like, you and I talked a little bit about it, like there definitely was like a FOMO portion of it. Like when the match got offered to me, it was like there is definitely a fear of missing out on this match, because I don't necessarily think that Suzuki's going to come back over here for an elongated tour, maybe ever again. I mean, he's 52. Maybe New Japan does this every year and he gets to do these tours every year, and I'm just like, I could have waited. But I also saw like friends of mine like getting to wrestle him, and I was like, I really want to do that. So like I said, when that came up, it was like I had to take it. So yeah, it's definitely a walk before you can run kind of thing. It'd be like being on the DL for like 8 games in the NFL and like coming right back to like play like the defending Super Bowl champions, like the Chiefs or something. But I definitely am excited to see it. It was definitely like weird to have a bunch of people text me like last Friday, and they're like, after watching Suzuki wrestle Danielson, and like they're like, oh, this is great, like what are you gonna do? I was like, don't compare me to Bryan Danielson, because on my best day I could never do what Bryan Danielson does.
The Italian American Dragon, not the American Dragon.
Yeah.
There's a difference out there, guys.
A much bigger difference. And I honestly, like, for my money, like, I think Bryan Danielson's the best wrestler of my generation, pure wrestling wise. So I'm not gonna be able to do that, but there's definitely like a certain fear, because like I don't think Suzuki speaks any English whatsoever, or if he does, it's very broken. So I have to take the lessons that Tracy Williams gave me on wrestling Japanese wrestlers, in terms of like trying to call with them. You like speak with your hands, kind of like show them how to do it. And
I mean, something tells me that this guy don't call nothing. You know,
I don't think he does either. So it's just gonna be a lot of body reading and things like that. But I don't know, man. I'm just really excited for it. I'm just excited to at least get back in the ring one last time this year. You know, pending whatever else happens later with my health. So, and it's like this is a legitimate dream match to me. I explained this to I think my sister or something, or maybe it was my mom when they asked me about it because they saw the poster, and I said this would be like the opportunity for like a normal like wrestler to wrestle like Hulk Hogan or like Stone Cold Steve Austin to them. Like that's what Suzuki is to like a shoot style wrestler like myself. Like he is like the pinnacle for us.
Hell yeah.
And I was shocked to learn a lot of people traveling out. What
Pedro?
Yeah, so
Pedro's making the trip.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, Pedro, you know, he is very knowledgeable about the merch and collectibles and what things are worth. And we had Toy Hio, and then we had Great Lakes Geek Fest. And I was like, hey, you know, if you want to come sell some of your stuff at these things and, you know, use some of the table space. And he said, well, you know, I don't know because I'm making the trip to North Dakota, or where is it, North or South Dakota?
It's North Dakota. It's just like a little suburb outside of Fargo.
Yeah, so he's driving to North Dakota. So he says he should just be getting back home on Saturday. So he doesn't think he's gonna make it.
Yeah, and there's like a big contingent of like the AIW fan base that's going out too. So it should be really cool. It kind of has an awkward coinciding. Like the Browns play one Thursday game a year, and it ends up being the night that I'm wrestling on a Thursday. Yeah. So, but after yesterday, I think everybody's kind of like, well, maybe we can miss that, or like we'll just tune in when Dom wrestles and then go back to the Browns.
Yeah, it's fair. So as the Browns gives computer Dom, I will not be able to watch it in real time because Browns game on a Thursday also means I have to bartend. So
yes, well,
I'll be working.
IWTV.
Yeah, I will be checking it out.
Plug it away
as soon as I can.
Eric Time Bomb. Remember Eric Tap Out? That's a Eric Time Bomb.
Eric, yeah. So it's gonna be on IWTV Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. They are on Central Time out there. So it will be there, and then also like Alex Zane's on the card. My tag team wrestler Kevin Koo's on the card. Eric Cannon, AIW alumnus, on the card. So
I like Eric Cannon. He's a good guy.
Yeah. A lot of good talent on the card. Should be a fun time.
Where's Eric Time Bomb getting all this cash? That's what I want to know.
Sponsors, hustles them sponsors out there.
Fuck. I mean, that's the one thing I never have time to do.
Well,
Razor Sharp's out there on the streets, though.
So that was one thing I...
shout out to Razor Sharp. I forgot to give a shout out to Razor Sharp in the shout out section. Oh, he brought me several gifts. He brought me several gifts to Toy Hio. Did I?
You said that. Yeah, you just said that. One thing that I think like... I
can never give Razor Sharp too many shout outs.
No. One thing that I find interesting talking about like money and hustling and things like that is I'm more impressed like when I put it in our head, that Akron number that we did, because all the previous Akron shows, you and Redacted would usually go out and flyer the town. But you didn't have time to do that this time, right?
Yeah, no, there was no traditional advertising for Akron this past time, which is why I was worried because, you know, typically for every Akron show, I mean, I'd go out and, you know, do the old school, hang posters, put flyers out, you know, all that stuff, hit the local community. And just with everything that's been going on and, you know, my job is just taking up way more time than it used to now. You know, I just didn't have time. And I was really worried about how that was going to go. And man, did people fucking come out. Like, I was astonished, to be perfectly honest.
It all worked out pretty well, I would say. Well, gentlemen, we're about 45 minutes into this thing already.
We got a lot of questions in the Discord popping.
So
I just glanced down and went, oh boy, I don't even know how to answer.
Yeah, I don't even know why you told them for more questions, but you know, again,
start from the top. Let's take it from the top, baby.
Well, let's lead off. We talked about Toy Hio multiple times, but let's lead with Tom Dunn's because it is an interesting question. How do you rate Toy Hio as a place to get the word out about AIW to those who aren't quite fans, or mainly are a WWE, AEW crowd?
So this time, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, because since it was just me, like, I pretty much just brought like AEW figures and like was just pretty much selling that stuff. I didn't have a lot of, I didn't have the AIW banners. I didn't have a lot of like AIW, like marketing materials or anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? I think, and it's something that actually I talked to Dom about, and I talked to Rick about in private as well. Like, I think for the next one, it's kind of, maybe back to getting exclusive merchandise printed up, you know what I mean, and things like that, and making a more of an emphasis on promoting AIW because they draw, 1,500 people in there.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You know what I mean? And we just these last two times that they had it weren't prepared for different reasons. The first time, like in June, weren't prepared because that was the first ever dive bar after party in which, man, nobody was prepared to wake up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. And then this last time, I had some AIW stuff, but it's a lot easier to get that going when it's a team of different people coming out and it's prepared for in advance. But I was coming out of I just got back from Orlando earlier in the week, and it was just it was a short week for me at work, and it was tough to get everything together promotional wise for AIW at Toy Hio. So it was more just kind of like, let me see if I can flip some of these toys and make some money for AIW. But I do think that there is a mutual beneficial relationship there. We just haven't really utilized it as much as we could.
Sure.
If there was a way to do a show in the area or something like that night, or you know what I mean, or it would be hard because Steve, I don't think you've ever been there, but it'd be really hard to do it in that room, because they take up every fucking possible inch of that place with vendors. But I think there's a lot more that can be done. I'll say that.
All right. Scotty Random wants to know. He wants to know a little bit about the AIW booking process for the average event. Is there an old WCW style committee? Is it like AEW where others are free to submit ideas, but you, John Thorne, get the final say? How far are things laid out? Or final decisions made on the show day? And do you have any inspirations from past bookers like Graham, Watts, Dusty, Sullivan, Heyman, Cornette, and all those guys?
Well, so it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Honestly, with me kind of having the final say and putting different things together, how it's been going is, even if it is nothing that we go with, I just say, hey, Dom, give me a shell. And Dom will come up with a shell of X amount of matches. And then I need to like visualize things, so I need to see it, right? So when I see the names and the different things and the different combinations, I then kind of like can copy and paste that into either, like a Google Doc or my notepad. And then at that point, it's just kind of like something to stimulate my brain. And I would say 9 times out of 10, none of those matches happen for the most part, for various reasons. And then, on Dom's perspective, he gets to see why I argue against whatever he presented, and then sometimes then I will take my shell that I come up with after that and I'll present it to a group, and then I'll get input from others, like Steve and other people on the roster, and then some people will provide their input on that, and then I will start maneuvering the pieces around, sort of. As far as inspiration or whatever, I mean, you have to take a little bit from everybody. I didn't hear Vincent Kennedy McMahon on that list.
No,
He's definitely an inspiration. Like you have to take you have to take a little bit of that WWF. You obviously there's a large ECW influence, and that shows whenever there's a big surprise or an unannounced thing, or what I call people play special teams, when there is a big run-in or something that adds more to a later show. That is kind of my ECW influence, but also, some WWE influence there. And then, there's a lot of, some of those old school bookers, logical bookers, like, I know a lot of people hate him, but, Jim Cornette inspires a lot of logic sometimes, you know what I mean? There are, you could take something from everybody that's booked some sort of successful, company or whatever, but I would say probably, gun to my head, it's an ECW Paul Heyman influence over most things, and I think that shows with how the shows are laid out, with a little bit of everything from your violence to your technical wrestling to your high flying. I mean, I think that is really what the ECW formula was, and that's really what we try to apply for the most part. And other people, people present ideas to me all the time, and I try to, if I think I can make them work, I try to implement them, or if it's something that I think, doesn't work for whatever's going on at the moment, I tell them why I don't think it's going to work.
There you go. Good answer.
Hopefully that wasn't vague enough.
If there's ever a chain, understand that is 100% inspired by Memphis, though.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weird Memphis things, and you have to take from everybody. You can't just say I'm gonna listen to what Jim Cornette says, or I'm gonna do what WWE does, or I'm gonna do what ECW did. You have to take a little bit from everybody and try to apply it to what you're presenting and make the most sense. You can't. And one thing that I'll say is you can't treat any of these people like it is the gospel. You know what I mean? Like there are right things and wrong things, and you gotta kind of weed through all that to make it make sense.
This next one is kind of throw two questions together because they do kind of go hand in hand, and they attempted to, from Big Dan 88 and Scott Random here in the Discord. The goals for AIW's 2022. And where do you see AIW in the next 3 to 5 years?
Goals for 2022 would be to get a regular schedule, and just get back to our, 10, 15, whatever shows next year, and get the crowds back up, not only in Akron but in Cleveland, and continue, that. As far as a long-term goal, 3 to 5 years, I just existing is really the goal.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
it sounds bad. I have no desire to be on top. You know what I mean? That sounds bad, but I just think it's good to kind of float around there and have a good fan base. But I don't plan to travel every weekend or any of that. I have the field of dreams, build it and they will come sort of mindset. I just want to do shows in Northeast Ohio, maybe travel around, to some driving distance areas. Mm-hmm. But you're never going to be consider the top thing if you're not traveling and doing all these different things. It's just that does not work for my lifestyle. So in 3 to 5 years, I just hope we continue to be putting on great, entertaining shows in the Northeast Ohio area and drawing fans in from wherever. That's really the goal.
Sure. I would say from the standpoint too is, we look 3 to 5 years down the road, as the AIW Academy the graduate list gets larger, right? I think it would be great to see guys move on. More people popping up in televised places that you can point at and say, "Oh my gosh, these are AIW guys," and and that is kind of what builds us, and so that people are now coming to AIW more than ever before because they see people and they find out, oh shit, okay,
that happens sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, but I do think our reputation somewhat it does carry equity with new fans. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just want to continue to do shows, have a self-sufficient business model. I don't have these grandiose plans, honestly, and maybe that is the wrong mindset. But I always kind of try to live in a realistic mindset and maintain a good foot planted in reality. And I just know with where my life is at, that's the way it needs to be. I can't really do too much else outside of Ohio. I have a job. It's tough to it's tough to plan around that. But I think really the goal is 15 shows next year ish. Hopefully do. And expand, expand the Akron dates, get a consistent schedule at the Winchester for development, and get the Odeon back to where it was pre-COVID as far as capacity. And, maybe outgrow the Odeon. I don't know.
Our next question, we've answered a little bit today and previously, but coming from Jack, the Jefferson North Canton shows being a hit. Will there be more shows in those places in 2022?
Well, specifically Jefferson or Ashtabula, we were kind of brought in by an organization. I would like to do more in different cities throughout Ohio, obviously. But, it needs to make sense, when you have, essentially, the Great Lakes WrestleFest acted as the promoter, and brought us in kind of on a different deal. So that made it a little bit easier to jump in, feet first on that and, do something in that area. And, we've had other bites on that. There's I got a call about Columbus earlier this week. There's different things that could happen that make it a lot more manageable for us, but like I said, just where we are business wise, we can't just be dropping everything and going and doing shows wherever we want.
Right.
Because especially like in an area like Jefferson, you don't know if that's going to hit or not.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very rural, small area that you're pulling from. So, it's just, it has to make sense, and every, no deal is a bad deal, but, from my perspective, I'm going to pros and cons everything. I'm just an overthinker like that. So yeah, I would like to do more in areas like Jefferson. But, we have to get the pandemic under control and, everything else kind of, I want Cleveland to be, healthy and thriving again before we really start looking at some of these other markets.
Yeah, and with North Canton thing is once again a lot like the Jefferson show. That was a bot show. We were brought in to do entertainment for the day. So it's one of those things that maybe that's a market, but we're kind of already in that North Canton market, as literally you jump on 77 and the Tadmore Shrine's 10 minutes away from where we ran the last set of shows. So I think that while they've signed on to have us next year, I think that more Canton/Akron expansion is probably not necessarily going to be something we're going to look into, because then at that rate, if you're running multiple shows in a 10 to 20 minute radius, you start to kind of cannibalize yourself.
There you go. Great answer, Dom. The man on all things North Canton right there. All right, A-Rose. Here you go, dude. The story behind booking Nick Nemeth. Yes, I am here to show the world I'm the king of Cleveland comedy. But you need to come to the shows, A-Rose. How about that? And here's the story, A-Rose. I met Nick Nemeth years ago, maybe 10 years ago, when I was with a buddy of mine who wrestles or interviews wrestlers. And it was prior to my time at AIW. Nick, of course, as we've talked about here, comes to AIW shows. His brother Ryan has been on AIW shows. And then a few years ago, I did their show at the Improv. We all hung out. Ryan has been on a comedy show or two of mine that I've done in Cleveland since then. And we just couldn't make it work with Nick. But we were planning to do a show in 2020. We already had a date locked in. Obviously, we know what happened with 2020. And then as we looked into 2021, he, wants to maybe launch his solo touring comedy stuff again. He's been doing some dates with Mick Foley. But we thought, what if he really launches the solo thing in Cleveland? And I said, hey, November we do the festival. You want to do that? And I'll build around whatever date we come up with. And he said, yeah. And it was just easy text messaging, man. Just the guys I've met, had a good relationship, good rapport with, and we continue that. And that was it. It was a simple text message, no huge story. He's been on my happy hour show, so we have a good relationship there. And I will say that prior to AEW, we picked this date before knowing the pay-per-view date. Obviously, this date was set months and months and months ago. So Ryan Nemeth was supposed to also be at this show, and that remains to be seen, but you never know. Just throwing that out there. Also, A Rose wants to know thoughts on Battle Bowl type event for AIW, and there's a backstory here. We've done this before, though.
So we've done a few Battle Bowls and way years ago. Before Go for Broke was developed, in 2020, the J-Lit weekend the day show was going to be the Biggins Bowl, and it was going to be a Battle Bowl show in place of the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament. It was going to be the Biggins Bowl, and it still may happen. It's just right now, when we developed Go for Broke, it was, the logical conclusion was going to be the 8-person tournament with the playoff, the 2 playoff things. So I don't know. As I said, as we book more dates and get back to a regular schedule, some of those kind of extra shows that we pick up, or those Winchester dates that we pick up, that's where something like that could fall and be something special on one of those places, as opposed to our regular schedule with marquee events. I would like to do that at one of these new markets, or at a Winchester show once we get that schedule rolling again.
Interesting final question here from A-Rose, at least in this grouping of the A-Rose questions. But it's nice because both you, Dom, and John are here with this question. What's the process of deciding when a student debuts at a show whether that student will be a heel or babyface?
I'll let Dom jump in here.
It kind of matters on character-based stuff, because chances are when these kids debut, they're going to end up de facto as baby faces, at least right off the rip, because they're going to sell tickets to their family. So it's not like Wes Barkley's going to sell 75 tickets to the Barkley Nation and say, hey, make sure when I come out, you boo me. So a lot of that is, but then sometimes it comes down to what is their kind of alignment going to be. It matters on the character. You kind of knew that, the Bitcoin Boys, we were going to make them turn heel, to kind of go with the Duke, and Eric Taylor is a good-looking kid who can be cocky, so it makes sense for him to be a heel. It makes more sense for Chuck Stone to kind of be the everyman Dusty Rhodes type, the burger loving badass type that's a babyface fan favorite type. So it kind of we look into that and what are these characters going to be? Dr. Dan, like, rest in peace, you know, to wherever he's at these days. Like, his character was made to be a heel off the rip. He was never going to get cheered. Gary the King Baller was always going to be a babyface. It's just, it matters on, you know, what the character calls for more than anything.
Yep.
Yeah, and it really matters on what they are trying to present. You know, throughout the creative process at the school, you know, some people present as a heel. You know, they want to be a heel. They want to do X, Y, and Z. So it really depends, but it takes a few shows for all of that to evolve, you know, because everybody that debuts is a babyface and cheered, and then the dust settles or the crowd makes a decision after kind of the honeymoon phase is over, and then, you know, we adjust from there.
Good question here from Butters, and I'm going to utilize it because our friend Jeremy, who takes care of us, also kind of has one that goes with this. The Intense title has bounced around from being a mid-card title for guys on the way up and more recently used as more of a hardcore title with intense rules. What is the Intense title to you? And a follow-up to that, will we ever see the titles split up again?
To me, it is always kind of been the Intercontinental title of AIW. The hardcore thing was never like an official, hey, this is what happens with this belt. I mean, it kind of took that life on because that's just how Matt Justice wrestles. And then it kind of bounced back and forth with him and Bishop. And then that evolved into the Absolute title feud when the titles were somewhat unified, I guess. But that was never really the thing. It was really more about how Justice wrestled and then Bishop wrestled and then that transition into the Absolute title feud. So to me, it's always the workhorse title or whatever you want to call it, you know, the mid-card title. But as far as separating them, obviously it's going to have to happen at some point. But, you know, we're just not there yet, you know, and obviously the pandemic really, you know, stalled that. Mm-hmm. You know, it seems like they've been unified forever, but they, you know, if you really broke it down, I mean, I bet you they've been unified for under 10 shows.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's really no plan for it yet, but something's going to happen at some point when it makes sense. But, you know, from my standpoint, I just think visually, when the guy is holding two belts up, it just looks impressive. It reminds me of, you know, like the Triple Crown in Japan. And, you know, you always saw those photos in the magazines. So right now we're just kind of rolling with that. And, you know, eventually we will have to separate it. And that comes with, you know, more shows and more story development and all those things that we haven't had, really.
Hell on Earth question here. Will PCO be doing a meet and greet?
I have no idea. You know, I have no idea. Sometimes he goes out, sometimes he doesn't go out.
There's no structured meet and greet presented.
I haven't discussed one with him. I'll say that.
Okay.
I haven't discussed one officially with him.
All right.
I would think he will, though, because he's going to a convention the next day, so I think he's prepared to meet some people.
Oh, there you go. Man, we got a bunch more. I don't know how long you want this to go right now.
Let's do it, man. Come on.
Okay.
You can't ask for questions and then not answer them. Then you know what I mean.
We get this question every single year around this time, but now there's a new one out. So, John Thorne, your top 3 Halloween the franchise films.
I mean, Halloween 1. Well, this is kind of a jackpot question because the franchise like retcons and does all these things. Some are not recognized, but if you include all of them, every single one, no retconning, you know, obviously you have to go 1. I really like H2O, and I would go with Halloween 2018 as the top 3, with Halloween 3 as an honorable mention.
All right. There you go.
The new one is pretty good, which I will say everybody wanted to talk to me about that at Toy Hio. So that's a podcast for a whole other day.
Should have charged them.
I should have charged them because I talked a lot about fucking Halloween Kills at Toy Hio.
Top 3 Friday the 13th characters.
Oh, God. I'm going to go with Tommy Jarvis from Part 6. Reggie the Reckless from Part 5. And Julius from Jason Takes Manhattan.
All right.
Shout out to Mance Warner. He was just tweeting about Julius.
This is a good one kind of for everybody here. The favorite AIW Hell on Earth moments.
That is a tough one because things just like leave my mind like that. It's always, unpopular opinion, persona non grata these days. But Hell on Earth 3, when I wrestled Drake Younger and the Necro Butcher, like always sticks out in my mind because that was just like a terrifying day for me. Because just that moment in time, AIW had kind of split up into 2 companies, and there was a competing company that grew out of AIW. And just for the sake of trying to compete with them and stand out with them, we decided to do this death match and put myself right in the middle of it because I knew that I wouldn't have to pay myself, and you have to pay people quite a bit more money to do a death match,
Right.
And I knew if I put myself in the middle of it, then all of my friends would come and pay to see it. So I didn't really want to do it, but that one always stands out in my mind because that kind of, and there's been ups and downs throughout the years, but at that time, that kind of, started moving us apart from that whole thing, and we were kind of drawing in the local fans at that time based on doing that match, and it kind of, I think, that reputation kind of followed me forever. Mm-hmm. But that one always kind of stands out. I mean, there's been, I don't know, 14 other Hell on Earths. The other big one is probably the last one we did because it is the most profitable money drawing event that we ever did. Hell on Earth 14.
We also
with Kevin Nash.
We had the cash in during that Hell on Earth.
Right.
That was a good moment. We had La Parka one year. That was a weird one.
That was
a weird one. But there was a really awesome Eddie Kingston Hot Sauce Tracy Williams match that show.
And I believe Hell on Earth 8, I could be totally wrong, where Eric Ryan just bleeds buckets all over Turner's Hall, like lost the ungodly amount of blood. I think his blood is still on the walls at certain parts of that building. That's another one that really sticks out. I mean, there's a lot, but it's hard for me to like remember that stuff. I'm really like, it just leaves my brain because I'm always thinking about the next thing. I'm not thinking about the last thing,
Yeah. Dom, do you have any Hell on Earth moments? Maybe Hell on Earth 13? Was that a big one for you?
Is that ZSJ?
No, that's Ethan Page.
That one is actually like one of my like low key favorite matches I had is with Ethan Page. That was like, I think we thought it might be an oil and water mixing when we kind of booked it, but overall it ended up being like a really great match, and honestly, probably one of my favorite matches. And if that is not mistaken, isn't that the match where we recited the pre and post game prayers?
I believe that is it.
So that one's there. Yeah, Hell on Earth is actually probably one of my favorite events because then also we have the Zack Sabre Jr. match, which was probably Hell on Earth 12 then, if that one you're discussing is 13. So yeah, Hell on Earth is like one of my favorite shows of the year. It's always special. It's kind of like I'm like a big Survivor Series guy, and since Hell on Earth is in November, it reminds me of Survivor Series. So it's like cool in that regard.
A little interesting fact that I don't know if it was ever discussed in this podcast, but the Hell on Earth event was actually initially supposed to be called Devil's Night, and it was going to be on Devil's Night, like from the movie The Crow.
Yeah.
Like whatever day of the week it was in 2005, that was going to be a show day at Peabody's, and then something happened. They took all the dates away from us because the Rude Boy of psychopathic ICP fame, him and the Throwblade had this wild bloody brawl, and they like bled all over the liquor bottles behind the bar and puked like everywhere. And people that were kind of not getting along, that were competing with AIW locally, called the health department on the venue, right? And they came in and they found blood on liquor bottles, right, that were still for sale. So Peabody's took all of our dates off the books. So we lost the Devil's Night show, and we booked the Beachland Ballroom in a few weeks later in November, and we had no idea what to name it. And this is the God's honest like truth about how Hell on Earth got the name. Is, do you remember like back in the day when there was the preview channel, right?
Yeah.
Like, how like when people actually watch TV, like there'd be a preview channel, and it'd say like this movie's on TV, or you know what I mean? Like it just would scroll randomly. Mm-hmm. So it scrolled by and it said Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. And I just said, hey, let's just call the show Hell on Earth. And that was it.
There you go.
That was, we just said, okay, we're at the Beachland Ballroom on November, whatever the date was, Hell on Earth. And then it was never planned to be like this big every year marquee thing, and it just ended up that way.
Hell on Earth 12 also gave us the wonderful opener of Mike Tolar versus Hot Young Briley. And that was booked at a bar the night before Thanksgiving, and a match that will forever live in infamy. Also, Hell on Earth 12. I think involved a certain animal.
Space monkey.
Yeah.
Had high hopes for that one.
Yeah. Let me ask you, as I'm looking back at these, and I went to this, and I'm just trying to remember how it was, but Hell on Earth 10 dog collar match, Eddie and Ethan Page.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, that's another standout one.
Yeah, Alex Shelley, as I'm looking through, even though he was gone for a few years there, quite a few Hell on Earth.
He's bopped in and out over the years.
Yeah, but quite a few Hell on Earth appearances. But all these are very good for the most part cards. All right, moving on here, because boy, this is a long one.
That's right. People like the length,
Yeah. How does the come on, A-Rose? How does the Cleveland mayoral race affect AIW?
I have no idea.
That's what I knew that. I thought that might be your answer.
I don't know what the policies are.
Do you know who's running for the mayor?
Yeah, because my address is Cleveland.
Okay.
So I've been getting some mailers in the mail.
With the Tadmore Shrine becoming more expensive, is Massillon the next expansion area south for AIW?
I don't know anything about that geography there, so I'll throw this one Dom's way.
You'll throw it to the director of Stark County Development. Maybe, possibly. I know that Smokin' Jays has a very vested interest in us running the Massillon area. venues are just at a premium. And
I will
everything like
I will
so.
say that I do know that much is where Smokin' Jays is located. If they stay in business and build up a customer base, they are attached to some sort of venue space.
Yeah.
And they are hopeful that we will do a show there to kind of complement their business. That's the only thing I know about Massillon. I don't know geographically, though, where it's at. I'll give it back to Dom to talk about that.
Yeah, it's so it's a little further away from the Akron area, but it would be a better kind of sell for like some of the southern-based fans that come up. It's just kind of off in the way. It would, like I said, it would come to finding a perfect venue. I know that there used to be like pretty good feds that ran out of Massillon, but I'm around Stark County mostly every day for my day job. And I just don't necessarily know if I could find a good venue per se that would have us and that would work with everything. But stay tuned. It could always work out.
How open would you be to running Niles and Youngstown area if a venue was available?
I'd be pretty open to that. Something in conjunction with Toy Hio. We did a few shows. If you look deep back into the AIW history books, we did a few shows in the Akron and Austintown area. I think maybe 4 or 5 shows. There's been sporadic companies that popped up here and there in the area. It just has to make sense, like everything else. I would love to do something in conjunction with the Toy Hio weekend, though. I think that would be what makes the most sense. When AJ Styles did AIW, it was in the Youngstown area.
Oh, there you go.
It's one of those venues, but and at that time we had people based in Youngstown that were attending Youngstown State University, so it was an easy kind of built-in draw. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Stuff just needs to make sense. I'm definitely open to it. But yeah, we'll see. And I know he had his follow-up was off record about a venue that had wrestling there. No, it has not been contacted as of yet. I thought it was kind of a bad place to do shows because there was no way to charge people.
What other questions here? Oh, Goldhorn Brewery. Any conversations?
I talked to them, and they have like a new event person. The girl that we dealt with before is no longer there, and the new person has like no idea what I'm talking about, and said that they put like pinball machines in that room that we did the show.
Oh.
So I think that's out unless, somebody actually goes in there and looks at it and sees if it can be done. But yeah, they, it's like they went with one of those like more traditional like wedding, like event booker type people that are, not talking the same language. It's just like two completely different mindsets.
Sure.
When you're, a banquet booker as opposed to a like live event entertainment booker, it's just just two totally different frames of mind that, this lady wanted me to keep calling her, and I didn't because she said that room wasn't available anyway. She didn't understand what we were trying to do.
All right. Are we going to see Isaiah Broner on a main show soon?
That's to be determined. I thought he did well at the Winchester event. It's just you got to wait and see, sort of thing. I would like to see some more development from him and, not rush him to being on shows without a proper place.
Okay. That is it for the questions. I do want to toss out, I missed this in the shout-out segment. Shout out to AIW student Austin. Got engaged over the weekend.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. So sorry I
In
didn't.
front of the Cleveland sign.
Yeah, sorry I didn't get that earlier in the shout out segment, Austin. You're going to have to listen to this show all the way through to find out that you did get the shout out, buddy. But that's a big deal. That's pretty cool. Good for him. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Those are the questions. We have a Hell on Earth after party lined up. More details to come. I can tell you that much. And what else do we need to get out to people right now? That's about it, right? Anything
Nothing,
you
just,
guys want to throw out there?
No, come check out our panel at Great Lakes Geek Fest this Saturday at 1 p.m.
There you go.
That's all I got. I have nothing else to plug.
We already plugged the show for me on Thursday.
Yep.
At the Geek Fest, I have a new shirt out. If you guys want to come grab one of those, our boy Larry over there at Lotus Printing hooking me up as always with a good design off of an old Taz shirt that I had drawn for me. So
There you go. Support Dominic Garrini. Get his T-shirt. New T-shirt, should say. That's exciting stuff. Support me and my endeavors. Come watch a show during the course of the Cleveland Comedy Festival. ClevelandComedyFestival.com/festival for a list of all the shows, times, and tickets. And, of course, Hell on Earth. Tickets are still available. They are moving. Go to shop.aiwrestling.com to purchase those. And other than that, that's all we got this week. So that's all I have to say for Dominic Garrini, for AIW owner John Thorne. My name's Steve Guy. We will talk to you next week right here on The Card Is Going to Change.